out of 7 points that IB gets. Our average grade is 5.57. In all of our subjects, the school average has been greater than the world average. The last thing that I'm going to talk about is what Steve spoke about in terms of the OIS diploma. And this is something that offers an additional advantage to students that graduate from OIS, which is the fact that when students graduate from OIS, you walk out with 2 diplomas. One is the IB diploma, and the other is the OIS diploma. The OIS diploma is something that all the accreditations that Steve showed you, from the CIS or to the NEARC, etc., all of those come and build on and add to that diploma. The second diploma is something that is recognized by universities worldwide. Because of the accreditations that the school has, the OIS diploma holds as much value as your IB diploma would. It's a different program, and universities understand that, but it is highly valued, it is accepted widely, especially in the US, and therefore that's also something that you do. They don't do a separate set of exams for the OIS diploma. They continue with the IB exams as well, but all the in-house formatives and summatives that the students work on build towards creating their scores for the OIS diploma. So it's not separately taught and there aren't different classes for it. It's run simultaneously with the IB diploma, wherein you get the grades that you do. And I'll now give to Sandy.
How are you doing? I'm going to be really super quick. I do need the clicker though. We've been talking lots about what we offer, and I want to give you a sense of what would it be like, what happens in a day at the school, and what's on offer, what can I be involved in beyond academics. So I'm going to skip through here. Depending on where you're coming from, you might have a very, very, very different day schedule. For our school, our kids do kind of a deep dive into their subjects, and we do 4 blocks per day, 4 long blocks, which will be broken up with different activities, but you're not moving around to 8 different subjects in a day, it's 4. Something else you might notice, if you can read it there, is that we have registration first thing in the morning on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then we have a homeroom session right bang smack in the middle of the week. Because we think it's really, really important, the pastoral care of students, looking after their well-being, having an adult. So our homeroom groups are very small. They're between 8 and 12 kids. You meet with those kids, and so it's like an adult who can look you in the eye and just go, wow, you're looking tired. What's going on in your life? Hey, I heard you had a fantastic weekend. You won something. Or it's not talking about academics, it's talking about you. And it's looking after your well-being. And also it's an opportunity to go, oh, I'm dying, can you help me? And a bit of a stress buster. So that's a really important thing. And it's around the world becoming a greater focus. And so the homeroom session, every second week there would be an assembly, but they're not assemblies where we talk. They're run by kids. Kids are on the stage. We're only allowed up if we're invited. But so that's an amazing opportunity for them to show their creativity and celebrate, etc. So that's the structure of the day. I don't know whether you know, we actually shut the gate at 7:45. You do need to be on time, and then because we think what we do here is really important. So we like kids in school, bums on seats, and everywhere else, getting their experience. You can't read that at all. It makes my head hurt. I'm not even going to look at it. I just wanted to point out that you do 4 subjects on Monday. So whatever they are, that's your odd day. So you might do, so whatever 4 subjects you've got on an odd day, you will do on day 1, on day 3, on day 5, and day 7. Then you do 4 different subjects on an even day. So you will do those same 4, which are different to the odd days, and you will do them each even day. But what we've done is we've built in a bit of internal rotation. So that if you've got your odd day being A, B, C, D, we don't always want one subject to be in the morning and poor old D to be in the afternoon, because we know, you know, that you function differently at different times of the day. So what we do is the difference between a day 1 and a day 3 is not the subjects you do, but it's the order you do them in. So whatever you did first on an odd day, you're going to do last the next time you see them. And then the next one rotates around. So again, all of this is based on good research about how best we learn with the amount of time and the amount of movement and things like that. So that's sort of how a day is structured. Our faculty is amazing. They're skilled, they're experienced, they're crazy passionate. We have an incredible number of IB subject examiners. I can't tell you the exact number because I know we've got about 8 in the pipeline where recommendations have gone in. We've got a bunch of IB workshop leaders, so they're training the trainers. Our teachers they're so hungry to learn themselves. They're passionate about kids. They're excited, and I've never met a more smiley bunch of people in my life. They take, what I would like to say is that our faculty, we take our job really seriously, but we do not take ourselves seriously. Tony is over there looking quite dapper today in his jacket. That's also him in pink socks and shorts, and it was a dress-up day for English, and you had to come dressed as a book character. Who on earth were you? Sorry? Just William. Hands up if you've heard of that. Oh, okay. And I'm not sure that person has pink hair anymore. And then, beyond academics, because we want you guys smiling when you get to the end of grade 12, and we want you broadly skilled, and we put in a lot of time and a lot of emphasis in things beyond academics. So this is just a picture of our crazy field day where we have 800 people down on the field doing nutty things. And, oh dear, is that me dressed as a grape on the bottom? Never mind, let's skip through that. We have school-run plays and musicals. So last year this was Sweet Surrender, a hilarious play that was put on in the second semester. There were students in there from grade 8 to 12. It was actually directed, and lots of the stuff was done by the IB theatre students as things they needed to do. Honestly, my belly hurt from laughing after seeing that. Last year also, Fame, I forget how many hundreds of kids were involved in that, whether they were singing or dancing or acting or backstage, and part of that ensemble. It was bigger than Ben-Hur, honestly. This year, they're putting on a pantomime. Jury's out. I guess I'm not English, so Tony thinks pantomimes are the funniest things ever. I'm not sure yet, but apparently we're doing a pantomime on Cinderella, and it's hilarious, the little bits I've seen, and they Mumbai it like crazy. So it's going to be really, really fun. We also, each year, we run TEDx at OIS, TEDx Youth, which is a pretty amazing thing which keeps growing each year. That's more a TEDx. We host a fairly substantial MUN, Model United Nations Conference. That's coming up actually just in a couple of weeks. This year we're also hosting a forensics, not as in looking at dead people, but forensics, which is your extemporaneous speaking and your improv and debate and things like that. And it's a competition, and other schools are joining in on that. We have organised sports coming out our ears. There's swimming teams, there's team sports, there's that team, that girls' soccer team, unbeaten last year. They just kicked everybody's butt wherever they went. And we got more silverware, or gold as it actually is, from that team. But they're so proud of themselves. But there's many other teams. There's table tennis, there's squash, there's volleyball, there's basketball, all of the regular team sports that you would expect. The whole grade 11 trip goes to Indonesia. It's a flight and then a boat and then you're on an island and there's jetties and you jump off giant jetties in death-defying jumps into the water. It's pretty fantastic. There's lots of student-run events. And so I'm just going to give you a sample of them, just of some of the things that you cannot imagine. The passion that is exhibited by our kids and how they want to do CAS, but do it more than compliance, really make a difference. So those very hairy legs there on the left, I forget the name of the boy who's on top of those, but it's a walk a mile in her shoes event. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's to bring attention to domestic violence, etc. And so they put on this incredible event, which they closed roads around the area, and there were lots and lots of people involved, and there was a real education part of it as well as trying to raise money. It was this awareness that was really important. Looks very washed out, but just recently we had the OIS Film Festival, so students put on a film festival, and there were categories and you put on your film, and we filled this auditorium with people watching. We had a bunch of special guests who were in the film industry in Mumbai who came and did the judging, but it was totally fabulous. The students from outside the school were also welcomed to air their films. Oh God, I'm going to try and pronounce this. Releve, am I right? I got a grimace from Tony and a nod from Priya. I'm going with Priya. Releve was the dance. It was a dance competition, and we'd never had one of those before. And so these students decided they wanted to put this dance competition on again. They filled this auditorium on a Saturday night, and oh my God, from these magnificent traditional dances to some crazy ensemble dances and modern dance, and it was just fantastic. I think there may have been judging involved, but really it was the spectacle of it that was more amazing to me. Relay for Life is another event that students run each year, and it's for cancer awareness. I don't know if you know that, but basically hundreds of our students come and they stay here overnight, and they, on the roof, we open up the roof and they are walking all night, or certain members of their team is, and then they have pizza and lots of fun as well. But and then they do this big candle thing where they spell out hope on the top of the building, and they talk about, because every one of those kids, it's scary to know that every one of our kids who was there could put up their hand and say they knew someone who had either kicked it or had fallen to cancer, and it became really, really personal and powerful. So that happens again, you know, it's student run, school supported. Dreamfest was a theatre, so kids wrote, directed and acted in their own plays. Were there six different plays that went on. Again, that was just last week, and such a variety. And then there's lots of interest groups. So there was a group of girls who were quite into their sport, and they were looking around going, why is it in India, in Mumbai, and in OIS, we have all these girls who stand back, and it's all the boys are out on the field, and it's the boys kicking the balls, and it's the boys doing this. And they said, why is it? We want, so its full name is Strike No Limits. And so it's a student initiative for getting girls involved and empowered in sports. And so they have done the most amazing work with helping girls get more confident and giving some of that initial coaching to get them over that fear hump. And so the Strike initiative is just getting bigger and bolder each year. All of our classes are infused with technology. technology is a tool, it's not an end unto itself. Creative assessment, if you can assess it in a real, authentic, or in a captivating way, then all the better, and you can make it real world. We have creative kids doing amazing things. We have caring kids. That car is actually mid-somersault on a hard surface. I nearly had a heart attack. I did not know it was going to happen. But it's important that our kids, because a lot of our kids are comfortable in their own world, but it's important that they can look beyond and see beyond themselves. Teach for fun, so this is where our kids invite students from a local, quite underprivileged school. They come into our building at the end of the day, and they might be, here you can see one of the strike girls teaching girls who had never ever kicked a football before how to kick a soccer ball. And then you've got up there, we've got some tech happening, and then we've got some music happening, and it was just amazing to see. I've only been here, this is only my second year, but OAS kids are special. I just adore them. And so you might be saying, obviously, you've got to decide what you're looking for. Here's what we're looking for. And by the way, disclaimer, in 10 clicks, this is going to be a very, very, very messy slide. But we're looking for kids who are curious. They look at the world and they want to know things and stuff and why and how. We want them relentlessly questioning and inquiring. We need kids and teachers and parents who are risk takers and courageous and willing to strike their own path. We need people to have this developing sense of who they are, an identity of self, but also really understanding that the power's in the team and in working in a group and true and genuine collaboration. I can't read it either, so don't feel bad. Ethical and honest. That really, really matters. It's so important to us. We can help a kid through anything if they're up front and saying, oh, I messed up. And it's like, yep, we all do. Now, how do we get back up and recover? Interesting. We want interesting kids. Kids with a story. Kids who want to make a story. Not just kids who happen to be able to hold in a whole heap of facts and spit them out for 3 hours. We want them involved and interesting. We want them to build their confidence so that they can stand on their own 2 feet, they can advocate for themselves, they can advocate for others, and they can go out there and stand up amongst the big guys, right? Out there so they might be a big fish in a little pond here, but what we're trying to do is build that confidence so that when they go out, they swim confidently. Compassionate, respectful of others, of difference, of belief. All those things, that really matters to us. And you know what? You can't read that, it's more for me. Embrace failure and celebrate success. We need to help kids and ourselves get better at falling forward. Yes, we make a mistake, but you know what? That's only going to make us stronger. So that it all hooks into that perseverance. So, like the teachers, we want kids who don't take themselves too seriously. They do their best, they try hard, but they don't take themselves too seriously. And that's it. You may take a giant, deep breath. And if you're still awake and you have questions, please ask. Or do we questions from the floor or individual questions after? Steve, will I give it back to you?
Yeah, if it's questions about your particular child, then I'd say we can talk to us separately, but any general questions about the school program, our university officer is no longer here, so, but Richie can help out with that, so please.
We do not offer IB music, no. There is a lot of opportunity for music, but not at the IB level. The IB has hundreds of courses, and we have to eventually work with somewhat supply and demand, but also what we can do well. And so it may well grow into that, but right now we do not offer IB music. Any other questions? Yes?
This description of environmental systems and societies is interdisciplinary subject, so
ESS, or Environmental Systems and Societies, is an interdisciplinary subject, so it ticks the box for a Group 3 or a Group 4. Remember, we said you have to take a Group 1, a Group 2, a Group 3, a Group 4, a Group 5, and then 6 was the flexible group. ESS actually ticks the box for both, so you can do it as a Group 3, you can do it as a Group 4, or you can do it as a Group 3 and a 4, which would allow you to do 2 Group 6s, so 2 art ones. And so what it is, it's a bit of a love child between geography and biology in what it does. So you look at the content as well as how the assessments are all done. You'll see that it really is a merging of the type of subject and the type of the expectations of subjects in both groups. And it is only offered at the standard level, not just by us. It's only an IB standard level subject.
You said that the OIS certificate is valid along with the IB certificate. It starts from 9th grade, right? Because it's
Yes.
already-
You get your OIS diploma based on accumulating credits through grade 9, 10, 11 and 12. So when students come in new, we transfer credits. So if you've done English at your school, then obviously we